In this prophetic message, we reveal the divine unfolding of the three final signs, visions once sealed in the silence of Sister Bernadette's soul, now breaking forth into our world through Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, a man whose footsteps align with ancient warnings. From the vault beneath the Vatican to unexplained manifestations in Lourdes, Manila, and Rome, the signs are converging. The dove descends. The altar trembles. The echo-bearer walks among us. This is not speculation. It is not a theory. It is prophecy in motion. When Pope Leo XIV was elected in May 2025, the first American-born pope, the first Augustinian in centuries, few knew the hidden scroll found the same night in the Sistine archives, its seal marked with a single word, Tagle. And yet, in the weeks that followed, things began to happen. Strange light over St. Peter's at dawn. A Marian statue in Manila weeping on the day Cardinal Tagle was named to the ancient see of Albano. The digital world suddenly flooded with calls for repentance. The same day Tagle told millions of online creators, "Love cannot be generated by an algorithm." Sister Bernadette saw this coming. Her secret letters to her confessor spoke of a shepherd clothed in mercy who will call the nations when the bells fall silent. For decades, these letters lay hidden, until last month, when a fragment surfaced during a restoration in Lourdes, showing three symbols: a dove, an echo, and a trembling altar, and now, one by one, those signs are appearing. Witnesses at the Jubilee of Digital Missionaries in Rome spoke of an unseen wind rushing through St. Peter's Basilica as Cardinal Tagle raised the host. Phones glitched, screens froze, and for 30 seconds, only silence, pure, unbroken silence, filled the basilica. Some said they felt a hand on their shoulder. Others heard a single whisper. "He is coming." The Vatican denies any supernatural occurrence. Pope Leo XIV himself has remained quiet. Yet sources close to the papal household confirm an emergency session was held that night, where ancient prophecies from Sister Bernadette were read aloud for the first time in 100 years. Why now? Why Tagle? Why these signs? Because the time has come. The three final signs, the dove, the echo, and the trembling altar, are unfolding before our very eyes. And those who see, those who hear, those who believe, know this: the final chapter of mercy has begun. Some call it coincidence, some call it conspiracy, but those who walk in faith call it exactly what Sister Bernadette did: the warning before the dawn. The world is watching, the church is stirring, and heaven is near. The night after the Jubilee, Rome did not sleep. Bells rang when they were not scheduled to ring, and a crimson haze hung over the horizon just before dawn. Some said it was nothing more than city lights refracting in summer heat, but those who were awake, those who prayed in silence, felt something shift. In the Vatican, whispers moved through marble halls like unseen winds. A private document, one kept sealed since Pope Pius XIV, was placed on the desk of Pope Leo XIV. Its title, handwritten and faded with age, "The Three Final Signs and the Shepherd of Echo." Pope Leo XIV, the man who only weeks before had vowed to listen before acting, now faced the unimaginable. The document named not one, not two, but three events: the final convergence of heavenly warning and earthly trial. And at the center, Luis Antonio Tagle. Why Tagle? Why now? Because the bride of Christ is under siege. Because secret factions, yes, inside the very walls of the Vatican, are at war with one another. Some seek purification. Some seek power. Some even dare to rewrite prophecy itself. The first sign had already happened, the dove. A Marian apparition in Lourdes appeared at the exact hour Tagle received albino, the same see Pope Leo XIV once held before becoming pope. The second sign, the echo. Digital platforms across continents glitched as Tagle spoke the E. Words, love cannot be generated by an algorithm, as though heaven itself had cut the signal to say, only love born of God endures. And the third sign, not yet revealed, was described by Sister Bernadette herself as the altar trembling beneath the weight of unseen hands. What could this mean? Some Vatican insiders believe it speaks of an event still to come. One that will shake not just an altar, but the very foundation of the papacy, and in secret, behind closed doors. A question was whispered among the cardinals. Will Tagle rise to confront it, or will he be its victim? Sources say Pope Leo XIV met with Tagle late that night. No witnesses, no aides, no cameras, just two men and the weight of heaven on their shoulders. What was said in that room? No one knows. But by sunrise, Leo XIV ordered 3 cardinals to travel immediately to Lourdes, Rome, and Manila, the 3 cities tied to Sister Bernadette's visions. Coincidence? No. This is a spiritual battle, and while the world sleeps, forces move. Some wear red, some wear black, and some wear no collar at all. Prophecy says the bride of Christ, the Holy Catholic Church, will face a purification so fierce that even the elect will tremble. This is not destruction. This is cleansing. The weeds and the wheat, the faithful and the false shepherds, all will be revealed. Even now, there are reports of unexplained phenomena. A Eucharistic host glowing faintly during adoration in a small Philippine chapel. An image of the Sacred Heart in Rome spontaneously bleeding from its crown of thorns. A mysterious voice recorded in a Vatican sub-basement simply saying, "Prepare." And through it all, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle remains silent, a shepherd walking into prophecy, whether he chooses it or not. The question that now burns across heaven and earth is this: when the third sign comes, will the bride of Christ stand purified and ready, or divided and broken? And behind that question is another, whispered by Sister Bernadette in her dying breath. The one who carries the echo shall face the fire. Could this mean Cardinal Tagle? Could this mean Pope Leo XIV himself? Or could it mean you? Because when prophecy moves, it does not wait for permission. Deep within the apostolic palace, a door closed that has not been closed for centuries. Behind it, Pope Leo XIV stood before an ancient chest, its brass lock etched with the Latin words, ad ultimum tempus, for the final time. What was inside? A scroll, wrapped in crimson silk, sealed with the wax imprint of Pope Pius, the Feed himself, and on its margin, written in trembling hand, one name repeated 3 times. Tagle, Tagle, Tagle. The scroll warned of a clash inside the Vatican, of 2 powers locked in silence, one clothed in white, one clothed in shadows. It spoke of the bride of Christ dressed in blood before she is dressed in glory. And as Pope Leo XIV read, the lights flickered. This is no coincidence. Even technology shudders when heaven speaks. For decades, secret factions within the Vatican have battled quietly. Some seek the purification Sister Bernadette spoke of, a cleansing fire to make the bride of Christ spotless for her bridegroom. Others seek control, influence, power over the faithful, the wolves wearing the garments of shepherds, and now the battle is no longer hidden. Hours after the scroll was unsealed, a mysterious breach was reported in the Vatican's archival vault, a place guarded day and night by the Swiss Guard. Nothing was stolen, but every surveillance camera froze for 6 minutes and 6 seconds. Yes, 606. Those who know prophecy gasped. Because Sister Bernadette's third vision spoke of 6 breaths, 6 shadows, 6 silent steps before the altar trembles. Was this coincidence? Or was this the second part of the third sign beginning? In Manila, a rosary rally swelled into thousands after word leaked that Cardinal Tagle was summoned by Pope Leo XIV personally. Witnesses say Tagle arrived pale, silent, clutching a small black breviary. When asked what he was carrying, he only said one word: burden. And in Rome, that same night, the bells of St. Peter's rang 13 times, a number that has never been programmed into its mechanism. 13, the number of the apostles after betrayal. This is a spiritual war. The bride of Christ is being tested, purified, shaken to her core. And at the center of this stands Luis Antonio Tagle, the echo-bearer, the one Sister Bernadette foresaw. Some inside the Vatican say Tagle's destiny is not to be pope, but to be the one who ushers in the Pope of Fire, the shepherd who will reign in tears and glory during the Church's greatest trial. Pope Leo XIV himself has confided to only 3 men whose names have not been revealed, that fire is coming, and it will either destroy us or purify us beyond recognition. And in this storm, factions collide. There are whispers of a red circle, a coalition of cardinals resisting any reform, determined to silence prophecy and preserve their influence. Opposing them are the children of the dawn, younger bishops and priests who believe the purification must come, even if it breaks the Church as we know it. This is not politics. This is warfare on the soul of the bride. And as Sister Bernadette warned, when the echo meets the fire, the bride will weep, and then she will shine. But what is the fire? Some say it is literal, an act of terror or war against the Vatican. Others say it is spiritual, a final sifting of faith where only those clinging to Christ will endure. One line of her prophecy chills the heart. The altar will shake when hands not of this world touch it, and a shepherd will kneel alone, bleeding but unbroken. Will that shepherd be Cardinal Tagle? Will it be Pope Leo XIV? Or will it be Christ himself appearing in judgment and mercy? Already, rumors swirl of an unearthly sound recorded deep beneath St. Peter's Basilica, a low resonance, like thousands chanting in unison, yet no one was there. A Vatican technician, shaken and pale, resigned the next day, saying only it was not human. Everything is accelerating. The Church is at a breaking point. The bride of Christ is entering her night of tears, and when dawn breaks, nothing will ever be the same. And then it happened. The altar trembled. It was during the early morning. Mass at St. Peter's Basilica. Quiet, simple, no cameras, no media, no tourists. Only a handful of priests, a few seminarians, and Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle kneeling before the Blessed Sacrament. Suddenly, a deep vibration surged through the marble floor. Candles flickered violently, though there was no wind. The altar, cloth lifted as though an unseen hand passed beneath it, and the crucifix above the altar shifted, not toppled, not broken, but shifted, as though bowing. Witnesses gasped. Some clutched their rosaries, others fell to their knees. One young priest fainted outright. Tagle himself froze, eyes locked on the tabernacle. And at that exact moment, every bell in Vatican City rang, not in harmony, but in chaotic, discordant tones. It lasted only 13 seconds, but for those present, it felt like an eternity. Security rushed in, fearing an earthquake. Seismographs in Rome showed nothing, absolutely nothing. Yet the basilica had moved. News leaked within hours. The Vatican attempted to call it a minor structural resonance, but insiders knew This was the third sign. The red circle, that secret faction bent on control, moved instantly. Leaked documents began appearing online, accusing Cardinal Tagle of orchestrating emotional spectacles to destabilize the papacy. One media outlet ran with the headline, "Tagle the Manipulator, but heaven had already spoken, and the Bride of Christ was entering her hour of purification." Pope Leo XIV convened an emergency consistory. All cardinals, all of them. The atmosphere was electric, tense, divided. Some cardinals called for silence and prayer, others for investigation. And a few, shockingly, demanded Tagle's immediate resignation from all Vatican posts. And in the midst of this chaos, something unexpected happened. A messenger, unknown to security, appeared at the bronze door carrying a sealed envelope, marked only with the ancient papal keys. Inside, a handwritten letter dated 1879, signed by Sister Bernadette herself. Its message was simple. When the altar trembles and the dove descends, look to the echo-bearer, for he will choose between fire and crown. Fire and crown. What could this mean? Was Tagle destined for martyrdom, for papacy, for something far greater or far darker than anyone could imagine? That night, Pope Leo XIV prayed alone before the Blessed Sacrament. Witnesses outside the chapel say they heard weeping, and then a single phrase repeated 3 times. Fiat voluntas tua, thy will be done. Thy will be done. The Bride of Christ is now at war with herself. The purification has begun. Factions dig trenches not of earth, but of ideology. Obedience versus rebellion, humility versus ambition. And outside the Vatican walls, forces long dormant, secret societies, hostile governments, and even occult networks are suddenly active, whispering of a church collapse, of a new order to replace the papacy itself. And yet, even as darkness gathers, light explodes. Miracles are being reported across the world, healings at Marian shrines, Eucharistic hosts emitting a sweet fragrance of roses, thousands returning to confession after decades away. It is as if heaven itself is pulling souls back before the great trial, and at the center of it all, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle. Some call him a future pope, some call him a false prophet, others call him the bridge. Sister Bernadette's final note, found hidden behind her old bed frame in Lourdes, contained one last sentence never before revealed. When the bridge stands, the storm will break, and the bride will bleed before she shines. The storm is here, and even Pope Leo XIV, strong, prayerful, deeply Marian, has confided in his closest aide. I feel it. The weight of Peter's keys is heavier than ever before. The whispers of betrayal grew louder, echoing through marble corridors where centuries of papal history stood frozen in awe and warning. In hidden chambers beneath the apostolic palace, the red circle met. These were not ordinary clerics. These were men who had sworn loyalty not to the Rock of Peter, but to power itself. Their agenda was simple: break the bridge, silence the echo-bearer, and seize control before the fire of prophecy consumed them all. And at the heart of their plotting, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle. Tagle, unaware of how far the plot had advanced, knelt in his private chapel, face buried in hands, whispering one prayer again and again: Lord, if this cup may not pass, thy will be done. But above him, in the very roof beams of his residence, devices were hidden, surveillance, recording. The red circle wanted every word, every moment, every perceived weakness. That same night, Pope Leo XIV called an unscheduled consistory. All cardinals were summoned. The tension was electric. Some arrived with faces pale, others visibly angry, and a few trembling. for in their hands they carried unsigned letters accusing Tagle of misuse of spiritual symbolism, and even of collaborating with fringe Marian movements to destabilize the Holy See. But before those accusations could even be read aloud, something happened no one expected. A blinding flash of light filled the Apostolic Palace courtyard. No thunder, no lightning strike, just light. And when it faded, the bronze doors, leading into St. Peter's Basilica, doors weighing over 6 tons, swung open on their own. The Swiss guard fell to their knees. Cardinals froze. Pope Leo XIV stood silently, tears streaming down his face. A voice, one no microphone caught, one no human throat produced, resounded through the basilica. The bride is mine. The fire is mine. The time is now. The Red Circle members dropped their letters. One fainted. Another tried to flee and collapsed on the marble steps, and in the midst of that holy terror, Cardinal Tagle walked forward. His face was pale, his eyes wet, but his steps steady. He approached the open doors, placed his hand on the threshold, and whispered one word: Fiat. At that exact moment, the ancient altar of St. Peter's shook again, harder than before. The crucifix above it bent forward, as if bowing to an unseen king. And from nowhere, the fragrance of roses filled the air. This was no mere sign. This was judgment and mercy colliding. When silence finally returned, Pope Leo XIV stepped toward Tagle, placed the fisherman's ringed hand on his shoulder, and said, "The bridge must stand, or we all will fall." And suddenly, what Sister Bernadette had written over a century ago came alive. When the bridge stands, the bride shall bleed, but she shall shine brighter than all the stars. The red circle was broken. Some repented publicly, others fled Rome entirely, and the Vatican, shaken but unbroken, entered a new dawn, a dawn of purification so fierce that even heaven wept with joy. For in that moment, everyone understood. The 3 final signs were not doom. They were cleansing. The bride of Christ, though bleeding, stood radiant, and those who doubted now believed. And Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, he knelt before Pope Leo XIV, whispering only, "I am ready." The storm had passed, but the fire remained, burning away corruption, igniting holiness, and preparing the world for the coming king. And high above, as dawn broke over Rome, a single dove circled St. Peter's dome 3 times, and then vanished into the heavens like a seal placed by God himself. This was not speculation. This was not theory. This was prophecy fulfilled.